Welcome to the Short Rod Show. You're talking with Ben.
And you got Brett.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We're on Season 2, Episode 16.
Yeah.
Cranking out episodes here every Sunday on the Short Rod Show.
9 o'clock sharp.
Yeah, hopefully you guys are, I'm sure you're just all waiting by your phones.
Yeah.
Ready to listen in.
Yeah, I was pumped the other day. Did you see that message that dude from Utah driving FedEx messaged us? Yeah, I was pretty pumped. I like hearing from those folks.
Yep. Yeah, we have a pretty wide-ranging audience.
Yeah. Well, the reason it reminded me because he asked us when we put out new episodes every week.
Yeah, but I know there are some fans that immediately, as soon as it comes out, our download counts just like they already have it.
Pumped.
Good to go.
Yep.
So cool. Well, what are we talking about today, Brett?
Today we're going to talk first this intro. We're going to go through a couple of small, minute things.
Some updates.
I got a little gunk in my eye. We got this Mag Dog schoolie.
The Mac Daddy schoolie.
Yeah. And I don't remember what the other thing was.
Well, your fishing trip.
Oh, and the fishing trip I
Solo
went out
trip.
yesterday. Yeah, well, it was just 2 hours. It wasn't terribly eventful, but
Yep.
talk about that. Main topic today, though, is going to be fishing in the extreme cold.
There we go. Now we're talking.
Ice fishing, you think it's fairly extreme until you get to this types of weather that we're having this week, frankly, where we're Saturday, Sunday, the last couple of days, we're talking highs at 0. You're getting pretty extreme cold.
Yep. Yeah, and definitely I know for, that's more common in Minnesota, but up in Canada too, but for Iowa,
just softy southerners, I don't know, but
that's pretty dang cold.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so there's some unique things that go along with that.
Yeah, things just start
Fish
acting
differently.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even just, the fish are a little different, and your gear acts a little different.
Oh,
yeah,
just your gear setup.
But
There's a lot we can talk about there. That'll be a good subject. So.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be another good episode for you guys. So looking forward to chatting about it. So tell me what happened with your eye.
Oh, God. So it happened, if you guys watched the podcast on YouTube, it wasn't last episode. Last episode was with Brady, and we didn't film that one. It was the episode before when I just started feeling that gunk in my eye. So you can see, if you watch, I'm blinking all the time. Like, I'm constantly dinking with my eye. Because I'm like, what the heck is going on? That was the first night that I really kind of noticed something was going on. I'm like, what the heck's going on? And initially, I thought I had a scratch in my eye. And I was looking at my right eye, and I'm looking, and I'm like, man, I don't see nothing. I didn't feel like getting anything in it, but it just felt like I had a piece of sand in the corner of my eye forever. And then the next morning, I get up, and I just have terrible light sensitivity. Like, I can't look outside, and yeah, it was awful, and still had that piece of sand feeling in my eye. And then all of a sudden, I noticed this little thing creeping up in my cornea, and I'm like, something wonky's going on here. We better go to well, first I tried to call all these eye doctors at 7 o'clock in the morning, and frickin' no damn eye doctor opens at 7 o'clock in the morning.
That's like a 9 o'clock kind of deal.
Jesus. Frickin' bankers. So then I had to go to urgent care. And then they dribble a little thing in your eye, and whatever the little thing is that had my eye, the highlighter stuff pulled up right there. So the urgent care lady was like, oh, you got a cut in your eye, no problem. Here's some squirt in your eye.
Oh, wow.
Just to keep it from getting infected. It'll heal up, you'll be fine. I'm like, well, okay. So I go home, I power drive through the weekend, just sitting in a dark room, dimly lit room, no TV, because I couldn't focus on the TV. It hurt my eye. I couldn't look outside, it was terrible. Still had the sand feeling was starting to go away. And that was from the eye drops that the doctor gave me. They were
like antibiotic
eye drop.
Yep.
So I went to the eye doctor on Monday. I had gotten a schedule to get followed up and check it out. And the guy, I don't know whatever they do to look around, he's like, oh, no, you got some bacteria colonized in the backside of your eyeball. And I'm like, holy shit. What's that mean?
Like behind your, I
don't know, wherever
back
it was.
in your eye somewhere?
Yeah, he didn't put it on a diagram by no means. I was just, I didn't care. I was just like, give me something to take care of this damn thing.
Fix it, damn
it's
it.
freaking terrible. So he's like, how the heck could you possibly... because it wasn't like pink eye. It wasn't like I had crusty crap on my eye. It wasn't anything like that. And he's like, what the heck? How could this possibly have happened? So we were chatting a little bit. And I'm like, well, I go fishing quite a bit. Is there any chance, maybe I had some fish slime in my eye or maybe some fish slime? Because there's a lot of bacteria and junk in there. And he's like, out of everything that we've talked about, that is probably the most likely thing that had happened. Because we went through several scenarios and chatted about it. And, I mean, by no means am I saying this is what happened for sure, but everything we talked about, he's like, that is probably what happened. You got a little bit of fish slime in your eyeball and it colonized, and you got some bacteria in your eye.
You think it's when you're cleaning those catfish?
Nah,
this is just like handling.
I don't know.
fish
I didn't really talk. I didn't
rubbing
really
your eye.
ask him much about. I was still kind of in shock about the, possibly getting fish slime in my eye. I didn't really ask him about kind of like a timeline.
Dang.
I didn't ask him like, hey, well, how long do you think it took for this to happen?
Yeah.
To try to narrow down the event.
Yep.
I didn't drill down into it that much.
Yep.
I was just like, give me some stuff to put in my eye. So then he gave me some
Man.
steroid. Stayed on that antibiotic. Did it for another week. Back in business now.
Good to
Eyeballs
go.
not falling out. Didn't find out my left eye sucks. Like vision wise is not
Yeah.
good.
Yep.
So probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks, if we're still running short rod show stuff, you'll see Brett show up with glasses. Here.
Oh man.
So yeah, it's been
Stay tuned.
It's been a hell of a deal.
Oh my goodness. Find out you're half blind, colorblind.
Yeah, half
Already
blind,
knew that.
colorblind. Well, really half blind because my right eye is rocks. Like I can see like an eagle. My left eye is just dog
Oh
shit.
gosh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little rough lately. So you can be out on the ice again. You can be out looking in
We're back out.
back staring at the sun.
Yep, got back out yesterday. Back in business.
So like sunglasses take care of that, or this is like way more sensitive.
It helped, but you'd get a
You
headache.
need like the old lady sunglasses, the huge ones.
Oh, I
that
was wearing
cover
my sunglasses
everything.
around in the house at like 5 o'clock in the evening when it started to get dark. I was still wearing them. Well, I had to because I'd put my sunglasses on, and the first night I tried to feed Thomas, and it was still dark, and he could see the food, but he wasn't really like into
He's like,
it.
what in the hell is
Yeah, he's like, "What's going on?" And then so the next day, I strapped on the darkest sunglasses I own, and then we turned one of the lights on so he could eat while I was trying to feed him and stuff. But
why is
Yeah.
Daddy wearing sunglasses on the
yeah, it's kind of a pain in the ass.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah,
Well,
nope,
you're around the bend and
back-
on the road to recovery.
yep, back in business.
Good to go. That's
Yep.
good deal.
Yep.
So yeah, don't be rubbing your eyes with fish slime.
No, yeah, make sure you
That's
clean
what
your
I
eyes
learned
off.
through all
Don't
this.
get bacteria in your eyes.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Not a fun experience, I'm sure. So I took a little side trip yesterday actually.
Yeah.
And was in a real nice local bait shop for those in the
Oh, this
northeast
stuff
Iowa.
you stopped at yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah.
that. I thought it
Anybody
was
in
over weekend.
the Waterloo Cedar Falls area, Hank's Bait and Tackle, stop
Yeah,
in there.
legit.
Tell them the Short Rod Show sent you. They'll hook you up.
They won't know who you're talking about, but
They
they'll
won't
hook
know.
you up anyways.
But they'll get a good laugh out of it when you explain who we are. But yeah, so they had some ice stuff left. It wasn't like a great selection by any means.
Yeah.
But you get to that point through the season where you just can't get any more stuff.
well, they're not going to order more
They're not going to
stuff.
order more
Yeah.
until next year. But was real excited to see the Mac Daddy of schoolie rods
40
on their
incher.
shelf. The 40.
Look at the bow on that sucker. You just don't get that out of normal schoolie rods.
Of course, Brett's got to have it.
That's legit.
That's
And-
just perfect.
You can't really crest in a schoolie without catching at least one fish on the original schoolie jig.
Yep.
So it's like a flat jig. I mean, it's still a horizontal presentation, but it's got a flat bottom. I'm not sure brand or anything like that. I don't really indicate what
Probably
they
make
are.
their own.
They're sharper. The hooks are sharper and shit, but they're definitely lead. Paint's not great. I've fished some of these enough that
Yep.
the paint's gone and you're just fishing with a lead head at that point.
I was really intrigued. So the bright, shiny, yellow reel, of course.
Yeah.
The rod actually has some action to it.
Yeah.
Still
something
only
we don't
2
know yet.
eyelets, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
2 plus the the end eyelet.
That's all
there.
you need.
But yeah, check out that profile on that baby.
Or do you want to read the paper a little
Yes,
bit here? Ben?
that the instructions that come with it.
So the
just
instruction
gems.
manual here that's printed out looks like it was typed up and printed in about 1994.
Optimistic.
So tips on fishing and using the schoolie is, it says that I'm reading this word for word. Start out fishing at the bottom, letting out line until my bobber has no tension. You are then at the bottom. Then put pole tip near top of water. Reel until tension starts. 2 complete reels, and you're around 1 foot off bottom.
Nice.
I jig a few seconds, then let the bobber rest. Usually that's when you get your strikes.
Boom. Easy
That's
as
just
that.
fishing right there. That's the short rod show right there. That's all we've talked. That's pretty much all I talked
Condensed
about.
down to some typewritten
Yep.
words.
Yep, that's it.
That's great. But I was really curious. I was like, okay, there's this piece of paper stapled together.
What
in the
possibly
bottom of
could
it.
that say?
What does that have
Yep.
on it? And of course, it's got everything you need to get started with a schoolie.
Yep.
So,
Well, not a schoolie, just fishing in general. Those are just words to live by.
there you go.
Yep.
There you go. It's pretty sharp. They only had yellow,
Yeah, that's
but they had plenty of other schoolie rods there. So
regular size ones.
yep. The
But
shorter
people buy the
ones,
heck out of
I
these
think those
long
are like
ones, huh?
20s, and they make like a 10
Yeah,
too.
yeah, those are the ones I usually been running, are the 13 inchers.
13s. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
But So you said they sell out of these long ones real quick.
Yeah, the guy's like, yeah, well, we just got these in yesterday. So the day before.
How many did they have?
I think they had 3.
Oh, so they got very small shipment.
Yeah, they didn't have a ton.
But they'll sell them out quick, huh?
Yeah. And they just sold their last flasher already.
That they're going to get in?
Yep. He said they sold a ton of live scopes.
Yeah.
They had a $200 deal plus the $200 rebate.
Yeah.
So like they were selling for what, $2,300?
Yeah, people just buying them up like crazy.
Buying them up like crazy.
Yeah, now in March here, Hummingbird's going to come out with their own, so keep an eye out for cheap.
Yeah, the
live
Mega
scopes.
Live. That'll be
What I thought was interesting in that article you sent me about, I don't really want to go too deep down into this, but is that the Mega Live from Hummingbird's not going to have the black box. It's just going to be straight like the old PS22 where you just got the deucer in your...
Yeah, I should have brought that down here.
deal.
But yeah, I just got
Deucer in your monitor.
Fisherman in the mail, and it said nothing's been confirmed yet with Humminbird, but
this is what's happening.
Mega Live's coming out in March, and it's going to be compatible with the Solix, of course. What's their other top level ones? Anyway,
I don't
the
remember
ones above those.
Apex, I thought it said.
There you go, Apex. And then all the Helix series, starting off the G3Ns. G3N, G4N. And yeah, no black box. So they're using some pretty interesting transducer technology then.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fitting it
because
all together.
the picture that I saw of it a while back, it looked like the exact same transducer as LiveScope. This is what it looked like. But
well, and LiveScope has 3 separate transducers in it.
Yep.
And it all just melds it together in that black box and then reports that.
Yep.
So it'd be, I don't know, maybe they baked that into capability to the Helix series.
Yeah, maybe they have enough computing power in the Helix that they can bypass the black box.
I don't know. That'd be interesting. Excited to see some more competition though, nonetheless. If you guys are, holding out, looking for more stuff to come out, it's only going to get better. There's only going to be more.
Well, then it just makes those LiveScope that they've all been bought now, it makes them more readily available for other folks at a discount.
Yep.
So that'll be good.
Yep. My type.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Maybe next year you'll have one.
Maybe.
We'll write it out. Use it as a tax write-off for the short rod.
Yeah, there you go. Short Rod Show LLC.
Yep.
So you were out yesterday, you said, right? Got on a little body of water. One of your favorites.
Took off at 2 o'clock, and I was like, I got 2 hours before I got to go to daycare. So I slipped out to go fishing for a little bit. Yeah, I didn't want to go too far off the road. Snow's deep. But yeah, I slipped off to a small pond here in Ankeny. Got on the bluegills pretty well right away, but that's just because I knew the spot that I was wanting to go to and kind of where they hang out, right in the weeds. So even and I expected them to be a little bit off, with how cold it was, but I think they're starting to settle in the cold pattern. Like it's not just
midwinter.
They're done with this immediate drop off of it being cold.
Yep.
Where now it's been cold long enough that they're kind of settling back in and they'll get back on the bite again. So I think that'll work good.
Could you drive a truck out there?
No, definitely not
much
It
ice.
wasn't that thick. Maybe 8 inches.
Wow, impressive. So that snow really insulated.
Oh, it's deep in those.
Yeah. So it really.
There were portions that were above my knee.
Wow.
Of snow out there.
Yeah, you get that much snow on top.
I had a hell of a time getting in and out of the lake because I would just drop so deep on the shorelines. Yeah, it's deep snow in those little pockets.
Yeah. Well, we had the same experience. So last weekend, buddy Brandon and I got out, and man, it was rough. We were all excited to hit this quarry up.
You couldn't run the quad back there?
Heck no. No, you can't.
Oh, you can't.
They won't allow it.
Can't drive.
Otherwise,
dang it.
the quad would not make it through that.
Too
not
deep.
even close.
Yeah.
It was probably 2.5 foot, deep.
If I remember, it's kind of a long lane.
Oh, yeah.
Right next to a fence line.
So
that fence line's probably what
we
kills you.
were pretty gung ho, of course. Get out there, back the truck up in there, unload the otter, stand out there in the freaking 30-mile-an-hour winds. It's -6, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, yeah, let's do this. And then I look up, I'm like, man, we're gonna have to drag this thing a half a mile through 2.5 foot drifts.
Yeah, the otter's not something you want to do
Plus,
that with.
well, we had the Smitty sled too.
Oh yeah.
But I'm like, that's gonna be a hell of a lot of running.
Well, there's
around.
3 of you. Be a man
Just
about
2.
it. Oh, just you and
two.
Brandon?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. So it's like, let's revisit this.
Yeah.
So anyway, a couple guys came over from you and I, like 4 college dudes. They're like, hey, how's the fishing? I was like, yeah, no.
We didn't go out
We didn't
there.
go out at all.
Yeah.
They're like, dang, that is a lot of snow. I'm like, yeah, there's other spots. So anyway, we hopped on a little pond down the road from there and caught a couple bass,
Nice.
freaking cold. Same deal, like getting off the road. You go through the ditch, it's like 3 foot snow.
Yeah.
Just leveled off and trudge through that, get down, same thing, stepping on the lake, 3 feet of snow.
Yeah, deep.
But that at least, it had over a foot.
Of ice?
Yeah,
nice.
that was pretty good. Yeah. But the whole pond was only like 4 feet.
Oh,
so we're like, ooh, this might be
a little tough to find them.
Yeah, so anyway, caught a couple fish.
There you go.
Actually burned my lungs pretty good. So this is a little cold weather tip. Maybe we'll talk.
We'll save it for the cold weather portion.
No kidding. Yeah. So, yeah, interesting. Didn't think it was a big deal. It's kind of a big deal.
It's definitely a big deal.
Yeah.
Neck gator helps a lot.
Yeah. So, cool. What do you think? We'll talk cold weather when we come back.
Yep.
Sweet.
Let's do her.
All right. That's coming up next, guys. On
the Short Rod Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Today we're talking cold weather fishing.
Yeah.
And, it might sound a little strange talking ice fishing. People think it's always cold. We're talking like extreme
cold weather, yeah.
And I'm going to say that's 0 degrees and below.
Yeah.
Or maybe 10 degrees and windy.
Sure. It's when you're getting icicles on your mustache sort of situation.
Yeah. Your snot's freezing as it's dripping down your nose.
Yeah. That's super cold.
Yep. So how does that change things? What's so special about being that cold?
For me, it first and foremost, it comes down to taking care of yourself when you're out in something that cold. So that means this is when the actual ice suits come into play.
Yep.
That are made to keep you both dry and warm. Where sure you can be out. I mean, Carhartt and some of those other companies make some very rugged, extreme stuff, but they're not as waterproof as they need to be. And if you get wet, you get a little water splashed up, and you get water splashed up on you from digging holes and stuff.
Yep.
All of a sudden, you got some moisture problems, and this is really when you get into this extreme cold. This is where the gear made for ice fishing comes to.
Yeah, I mean, that's
play.
Kind of the bread and butter when you talk about the specific, flotation suits, ice fishing suits, the specific ice fishing boots, too.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, hunting boots, they'll get you a good way.
They get you 90%.
Yep. But when we're talking below zero and you're out somewhere far away from where you're able to warm up, you got to have good stuff.
And you need to rely on it to not lose your toes.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. Being in extreme cold like that, it changes, how you fish, and it changes a lot of different things. And I feel like we do a good job of setting up differently when we know it's going to be extremely cold.
Yeah.
We have a different mindset. It's cool to be out hole hopping, running around, throwing caution to the wind, and my hands are a little cold, but whatever. When it's below zero, I mean, you're talking. I
want to shack up somewhere.
Yeah, but you can have frostbite and not really notice it.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're looking for, you can absolutely have frostbite, or I'm looking at Brett's nose and it's freaking white at the tip, right?
Yep.
Like, hey, Brett,
hey, why don't you warm that up a little bit?
You're gonna lose. Your nose is gonna fall off here in a second. I mean, for me, that's really kind of the buddy system. That's what that's for. I wouldn't go out extreme cold by myself somewhere in the, away from town or whatever.
Yep.
For a long period of time, because stuff can happen.
But I would say, at least, more recently in ice fishing, there is gear out there now to allow you to go out and fish, and I'd say do it fairly safely in
a lot
this
better,
extreme
absolutely.
cold. I mean, as reasonably safe as you can be, anyways.
Yeah.
To combat that cold weather, and I mean, starting with your striker suits. I mean, that's what these are the situations. So this week, where we've had a high of 5.
Yep.
This is what you spend that extra money on that striker suit. Yep. Every other week of the ice season, your Carhartts and your cheaper ice suits and stuff, they'll get you by. Then you'll be just perfectly happy in them. But it's this type of weather that you spend the extra money on for those.
Yep.
For those high dollar.
No, I definitely agree.
Gear.
And you can layer up to some degree.
Yep.
But when you're talking being outside, it's so nice to be mobile and be able to move around and just have, I'll have a sweatshirt on like this, and I'll have my striker suit over top.
Yep.
Good to go.
And you'll be fine.
I'll be fine.
I mean, as long as you're moving around a little bit, it's not a big deal. It's when you kind of bunker down and sit down for a little bit, you kind of get cold. But if you can put your back to the wind, set up, you can realistically fish outside.
Yep.
In that kind of gear.
Yeah, the other thing that you run into would be your gear icing up. So your spinning reels, not great when it's that cold. I mean, the grease is going to get cold unless you're going through and put some hot sauce on there, whatever that grease they call.
Yeah.
The cold weather grease on them. They're going to start getting kind of stiff. You're going to start whipping water around and
everything's
going to
start icing up. Your bail's going to ice up.
Yep.
your eyelets start icing.
Yep.
This is when, if you're buying ice line specifically, this is kind of when maybe you'll get a little bit of an advantage. Maybe you don't get quite as much ice on the line, but everything just ices the battle then at that point.
So the ice defense, that would come in handy in this instance.
Sure.
Holding your hole open. I mean, that's the main thing that's very difficult, is keeping a hole open when it's all slushy and it's below zero, and if the wind's blowing, it's even worse.
It freezes up so fast.
You'll have a layer of skim ice in like a minute.
Yep.
No problem.
And that gets frustrating.
Yeah.
Especially, as I mentioned, your line will get ice on it, and then you start getting you'll get a little bit of skim ice starting to build up on there, and then it just takes off from there. It just continues to build. But that ice defense, running that, it keeps enough warm water kind of up at the surface of your hole. Explain a little bit what your ice defense is here quick before we get too deep into it.
So I built a homemade one, if you guys aren't familiar or haven't listened for a little while. I thought it was pretty cool, the idea of that ice defense.
Go into what it is. What does it do?
So it's a puck, basically, floats in your hole, has a water intake at the bottom, and it's basically like an aquarium pump. It'll pump water from the bottom of your hole and spread it out, or pump it to the top of your hole.
Yep.
So the water below the main level of your hole is the warmest, and just by circulating water, of course, will help keep ice freezing down. But
and also, I mean, in a lot of instances, it's melting ice also.
Oh yeah, it'll melt it.
If you have slush or junk in your ice, it'll melt that off.
Yeah, and I mean,
or in your hole, it'll melt off.
Generally, you're talking 34, 35 degree water coming up, and that's all 1 or 2 degrees is all it takes to start melting that. But I built mine out of a USB aquarium pump, mounted in a little chunk of PVC pipe, have some fuel line running out to a little T, plastic T fitting, and that just swirls water around.
It really works good.
Yeah,
impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, running off USB doesn't use very much power. Off the lithium shuttle, no problem.
Nope.
Works pretty well. So that saved the day in extreme cold, just so you're not getting that buildup on the little chunk on the end of your line that you're just constantly reeling into, or it's sticking, or it's just a pain. So
the other thing, we're still sticking with outside, trying, fishing outside, hole hopping, still trying to find the fish. Maybe, if I'm talking the instance of being out fishing in the extreme cold, where we're talking now is we're still looking for fish, maybe.
Yep.
The next thing that I'm thinking about most is my hands.
Yep.
Because those are I feel like that's the next most exposed thing that's going to happen.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Keeping a good pair of gloves, good warm pair of gloves. But what I do is I wear 2 pairs of gloves. I'll wear the thinner, like
the fingerless wool.
I'll wear those fingerless ones, but if it's like this, I won't wear those.
Yeah, but you can,
because I want my fingers covered up too.
Then wear something over the top.
I'll wear like some super thin, like little wool gloves or something like that, and then I'll wear my bigger gloves over the top, my bigger fingerless gloves over the top. That way, just to reduce skin exposure, I feel like is
See, and important. I'm a hand warmer guy.
Yeah,
I love those things. Yep. Like, you cannot beat throwing a fresh hand warmer in your glove. It'll last all day. Just adds a little extra external.
See, I need to get more into that. I have hand warmers. But I've had them for probably like 6 years. I just never use them.
Yeah, see, and they go bad after a while too.
Yeah.
Actually, I experienced some freezing this weekend. So
really?
It was
cold.
Negative 18, I think, when we woke up.
Yeah.
Sunday morning, and I go to try and use them. They sat out in the truck all night.
Frozen solid.
They wouldn't heat up. I've never experienced that before. I was like, now they're a little hard, but whatever. It's a chemical reaction with the air, so
it just wasn't
shake
happening.
them a little bit, wasn't going. So I actually threw them on the dash of the truck on defrost, and it kind of kickstarted them and got them going. So
interesting.
They kind of get a little too cold.
I didn't know that,
and they do go bad over time. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe mine might be bad by now. I don't know. But
you normally get a box every year on Amazon for $15 or $20, pack of 100 of them.
That's a good tip. But do you just get the regular hot hands, or is there something?
Just the regular small
I know they
ones.
make like body patches. They make like little foot ones. They make.
You don't need any of that.
Have you tried the feet ones?
No. Never had.
Those might be worth something for somebody that gets cold feet.
Oh yeah,
they might be worth something.
I mean, just having some kind of external heat in addition to your body heat is sometimes all it takes.
So, also another thing I saw. I got to look it up here quick. Right. Keep going with something else here. Sorry.
With the hand warmers, the main thing would be keeping the tips of your fingers warm, especially after you have to take your gloves off. So you're taking your gloves off to tie a knot. Okay, the main advantage to me for the hand warmers is just to warm your hands back up to get them back to your normal level quicker. so you can, fish more, enjoy your time more. That's been huge for me. So I'm a big fan of using those. And I'll just go through them like candy. Doesn't matter. Like you have set, I'll have set. Throw another set in as a spare or whatever. They're always in my backpack, ready to roll. So
there's, what's this company? I'm trying to find it. It's like a warming pouch, like a fanny pack thing that you put your hands in. But there's a lithium battery in there that has a little warmer in it.
Oh yeah, Milwaukee has those too.
I'm trying to figure out what it's called.
Milwaukee has those.
Really?
Yeah, yep. Kind of like their heated jackets. I have the heated pockets.
Yeah, it's just like a little fanny pack thing.
Hand warmer deal.
Hand warmer.
Well, and they make like refillable hand warmers that you light with butane and crazy stuff.
But that just seemed like a super slick deal there.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say, if you guys aren't cold defense fan or ice defense fans, or you don't want to make your own, an old timer trick would be taking a coffee can, punching a hole in it, set a live charcoal briquette on there, so like something you actually light a charcoal briquette,
something with some heat,
and start melting snow over it, and let that warm water
flow into your hole,
flow into the hole.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's not a bad deal. I got plenty of coffee cans. I've run the cheap coffee.
That's cheap there.
It still comes in cans.
Yep. And then you can just hold your hands over it and warm up.
Well, yeah, kind of. Yeah, that ain't a bad idea.
Yep.
Then you got to bring that up. How are you going to get that lit? How did they get those those bricks lit?
I mean, just use the matchlight stuff. I don't know. Take a torch out with you. I don't care.
I guess. I mean, I'm going to bring a lighter anyways. I'm going to bring a heater probably.
Well, the other thing that I was going to mention, hopping around, just plan some extra time for everything.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to work right.
Things break.
Everything's going to break. Mechanical things, good luck.
Things are just different. When it gets that cold, things are just work differently.
And people that haven't been in that cold don't understand that.
Yep.
So all those listeners out in different places that don't get that cold, you don't know what that cold is like or what it does to be out there for more than 5-10 minutes.
Yep.
When you're out there half a day without warming up, that's a totally different dynamic.
And this is the situation too where you want to keep batteries warm.
Yep.
You gotta think about a lot of that. You gotta think about heat conservation as much as possible. Especially, if you're drilling holes and still looking, you got to keep.
Yep.
I mean, your batteries will still work, but you're going to lose a lot of longevity out of them.
Yep.
They're not going to stay charged. They're not going to drill holes for as long as you want them to.
Yeah, and I think there's something to that too, where like the old DeWalt drill, just the drill being out that cold, it's got some electrical or protections that kick in. That's like, whoa.
See, your drill must, because my drill. No, it has no problem. The batteries, if they're cold, they'll have problems.
Yeah, the brush drills have no circuit, like no protection at all.
There's no
the
problem.
electronic brushless ones, they have a bunch of nannies that kick in and say, gotcha. "Oh no, we're not doing that."
Now the battery, it'll still die a little quicker when it's cold, but yeah.
Yep, definitely. So time out there, in below zero temperatures, it definitely takes a toll on a lot of different things. So
another thing I would recommend keeping an eye on is your auger.
Yep.
As ice starts to build up on that, if you start getting ice building up in between where your blades are at, it won't cut very well. You got to get that ice out of there.
Yeah.
It'll start to kind of waffle around on you on the ice and
bang it a couple times on some gravel.
Yeah, break some of that ice off.
Busted loose.
If you start getting ice built up on your blades, you need to stay conscious of that.
Yeah. Yep. That's definitely a thing. Yep.
Yeah. What else is there while we're outside? Well, maybe we'll start talking about shacking up maybe.
Yeah. That's kind of the name of the game for me anymore.
Once it's cold,
once it's super cold. Yeah. I mean, I can run around and hole hop and be okay, but man, it is also nice to fire up the heater, hang out in there. Like, so there's something about being out where it's super cold and you just punch some holes on some fish, of course, and pop the heater on. And you just sit out there and
drill a beer hole and just hang out.
This is awesome.
Yep.
That's a good feeling.
So I'm trying to think back of what it was like. I don't know that I really fished a lot of sub-zero cold weather before I had a insulated shack. I was just trying to compare and contrast the difference between having an insulated one and a non-insulated shack.
So,
but my non-insulated shack had a lot of mouse holes in it.
Yeah,
so
that probably takes away some of the already non-existent insulation factor.
Yep, exactly.
You got open gaping mouse holes.
Yep, that'd be a problem.
Yeah, the insulated shelters, that's definitely the way to go. I feel like that's the most popular now anyways.
Yeah.
Where the price of them has come down and the weight and everything, and they just hold up really well.
Their fabric is just so much more durable than the uninsulated ones are anymore. I mean,
last weekend it was -6 and there wasn't much. There was some wind, but not a crazy amount.
Yeah.
And just run the big buddy on low.
Do you really feel like you would have had to run it on a higher stage if it was on insulated shack?
Oh, yeah. I remember running. I had a big buddy in the uninsulated one. I would use high a lot.
Okay.
I mean, I'd get in there, crank it up, get it kind of to a good point, and then turn it down a little bit. And then if it was windy, forget about it.
Huh.
I mean, it just blow right through.
Because I was trying to formulate the thought in my mind of, is that insulation really that much worth it? Because I don't know. Yeah, it probably does hold the heat better. Yeah, if you have a heat source. But if it's already cold in there, it's not making any difference.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yep.
But, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely helps you use less propane over long periods of time.
Yep.
That's where it comes in handy. A couple trips to Minnesota over 3 days, we didn't ever have to worry about that.
Yep.
It's like, okay, no, we're not going to run out of propane.
Nice.
So that's good. Definitely.
Yep.
Talking about like mechanical things too. You got your augers. The gas augers, of course, they're going to have a hell of a time starting if you leave it out super cold.
Maybe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Everybody I see on Facebook's like, oh, mine starts first pull every time.
Not the first pull. No one's.
There's a reason people are getting rid of them like crazy.
But also like quads. Okay. There's a thing with quads. We have the old, carbureted pull start. There's no electronic anything on it.
Starts great.
Newer quads that have fuel injection. Okay. Usually the fuel injection doesn't necessarily need battery, but sometimes they do. Mm-hmm. So in general, if it gets too cold and your quad is a fuel injected electric start one or whatever, usually you can't get the thing to spin fast enough to kick the fuel injection on.
Oh, geez.
That's the thing. So your oil is too thick, you leave it out overnight, and it just goes. And that's not enough to get the fuel injection to start kicking in and actually start, trying to start it. So there's something to be said about older carbureted quads.
Yeah.
A carbureted quads, no matter, you could pull it just a little bit and it's going to at least get fuel in there.
Yep.
So that's something to think about.
Point. Yeah. That is a good point.
Guys usually run into that when they're out in the middle of nowhere, towing their hard shelters out.
Yeah.
And they park it overnight. And they get up the next morning trying to crank it.
Else to go.
Can't hardly crank it. The other thing, too.
So is that due to a dead battery or thick oil? Dead battery.
No. So actually, you could have the best battery in the world, but your starter cannot overcome the friction of that thick oil.
Because the thick oil.
So you can get away with running some pretty thin oil. If you're just
maybe thinner oil. Then maybe.
You need that. Yeah. Definitely. And I'm a big fan of the synthetic. Do the synthetic
all the time.
5W30 at a minimum, maybe like a 0W30. Yeah. Get something that's really freaking.
For all the more that you put in oil and you put in your quad, anyways.
Oh yeah.
Even in my vehicles, changing your own oil now, paying someone to do it.
Yep.
That gets to be a different deal. But synthetic all the way, all the time.
Yep. The other thing with that, generators. If you guys are out running hard shelters, they actually make heat kits. For those generators.
I was just going to mention that.
So. We'll talk about it a little bit.
I don't know much about it. I just knew enough to say that there's a heat kit.
Them.
And then there's like an exhaust kit that you can get for them also.
Yeah, so the main thing on the generators would be the crankcase ventilation tube gets frozen up. Mm-hmm. And so they have a little heat tape that wraps around it. It's not like a crazy deal. Just keep it from.
Is that something you put on your Harbor Freight one also?
You can, yes. You can actually wire them right in. It's kind of a universal deal.
Sweet.
So
wire them right in.
Yeah, so when you start thinking about gas engines that cannot run when it's that cold, that's when we're talking.
That's the problem.
That's the extreme cold right there.
Yeah, I haven't ran into those problems yet.
Yep,
I don't run a lot of
so
engines out in the extreme.
It's interesting. Talking about in a shelter though, the main thing I like to have when it's super cold, some kind of food you can heat up.
Yeah,
that
something
goes
hot. Eating something hot.
Some hot chocolate, some kind of soup, something you're throwing on the big buddy to heat up.
Yep.
On the little burner
or the cooker.
Whatever. Oh yeah.
Yep. It's always worth it having an extra little cooker.
We should do some chili.
Because then you got an extra little piece of propane in there if you need it for an emergency. You got everything.
We should throw the Predator in this weekend. We can run a little electric heat. We can run a little crock pot of something. That'd be legit.
Well, I ain't going to be out there that long. That's not going to be fair.
Well, that's all right. we'll have a breakfast that way.
I'm only going to be out there in the morning. But,
having some kind of food along.
Yeah.
Especially when it's cold, that's nice.
Yeah, a little hot meal. Also, snowing in your shack makes a huge difference if you didn't know what that was.
Yep.
Usually by the time it's this cold, there's plenty of snow on the ice. So put up your shack. then throw snow up along the edges just to keep out any air leaks. Makes a huge difference also. And then also while you're in there, of course, be mindful of CO2. Make sure you got your vents open.
Yep. Don't be running without a vent. People think like, oh yeah, there's some air moving in there, whatever.
Yep.
It's probably not as much.
Keep things ventilated.
Yeah.
That way you don't go down on CO2 poisoning.
Yep, that's a bad deal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The other thing that I was going to mention too on just cold weather, you got mechanical issues that can happen. You got, other things that can happen. Just plan for the unknown.
Yep.
If it doesn't hurt throwing an extra pair of socks, gloves, Abby brought this up when we broke the auger, but having a spare something.
I know you told me to leave the auger.
Right? Yeah. I know. I was like, we'll be fine. But no, when it's that cold, have a spare.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. It wouldn't hurt to have an extra buddy heater in the truck just in case that one doesn't work. You don't want to ruin your trip out there or freeze to death because something broke.
Yep. So what would be your number one tip fishing out dead ass cold? What's something you're always gonna take, make sure you have with you, or just kind of a tip on what to do while you're out there?
I would say definitely
hot tip is what we're looking for.
It's not that hot of a tip though. Man, I don't have very hot tips.
I got a hot tip.
Oh, good.
I'll let you
All
go
right.
first.
Well, I'll lead into that. The buddy system. For me, I was a very independent person. I was like, nope, doesn't matter how cold it is. I'm going out there by myself.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Makes
just
you a little
dumb.
Nervous now, huh?
Yeah, just dumb. Man.
What if something were to happen?
I've heard some stories of people that, the frostbite deal. You may not know you're getting it, okay? Unless someone's like right there helping you out, checking on you, telling you you're an idiot for being out when it's too cold, whatever.
Yeah.
You're just going to man up and go, yeah, I'm fine. And then you get back and you're like, wow, that's really
Man, my
bad.
nose hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, what's that burning, tingling feeling in my fingers?
Yep. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that's not great.
Yep.
So that's my hot tip.
Oh, that's pretty good. Well, actually, no, go into your lung burning thing quick. Sorry. I just remembered that. That's going to lead into a little bit into my hot tip.
So, yeah, have the kind of face mask set up. That helps too a lot when it's super cold. Try and breathe through your nose if you can. That helps warm the air going in your lungs.
Air has time to warm up before it gets into you.
All bets were off when we were lugging this otter up this hill.
Try not to get out of breath.
We maxed it.
Yeah, don't do that.
Maxed out. And Brandon, you're in a lot better shape than I am. I was yanking that thing full tilt trying to get up the hill. And I didn't feel it at the time. I was like, that's good. We'll get this up the hill, sit in the warm truck, be fine. I could not catch my breath.
Yep.
I was like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh,
got a little cold air in there.
Couldn't take a deep breath. It hurt a lot.
Yeah.
And we were going to go fishing somewhere else. And I'm like,
can't do it.
Man, I don't know if I can
You're lucky you
do
don't
it.
have a cough right now, too.
I know. You start coughing like crazy.
Yep.
So anyway, learned my lesson there. Wear a face mask or something to warm up the air coming in. And like I said, don't max it out trying to.
Yep. Do what you can to prevent sweating.
Yep.
Do what you can to prevent, over exhausting yourself and having to really catch your breath.
Yep.
But then, my hot tip was, wear a neck gaiter, something over your mouth so you're breathing in warm air. Don't just breathe in that cold air all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you'll want that anyways, just because it's colder and piss out there, and you don't want your face getting cold. But then when you start getting exercise and exerting yourself and you're breathing heavy, it's still good to keep that mask on, but it's a little bit of a pain in the ass to keep it on because you're breathing a lot. But
that helps.
You don't want to breathe in mass quantities of that cold air. Otherwise, like you say, then you lose your breath a little bit and stuff to get caught back.
Yeah,
up.
like the next day I was still catching up. Like.
You still feel it when you take a big deep breath.
Yeah, not a good feeling.
Yeah, that's why I always wear that.
For you.
I always wear that felt neck gaiter.
Oh, I have that in my shelter too.
What?
The big fluffy one.
Oh, good.
I got that.
I got my horse's one. My horse fleece one.
Yep. Found that the other day.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like I'll just leave random trinkets in the bottom of your shelter.
Half your stuff's in my shelter, half my stuff's in your shelter. We'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah. We'll get her sorted back here
at the end of the season. Yep, for sure. Yep, cold weather is no joke.
Oof. Well, let's touch. Do we have time yet? What time are we at?
Yeah, we got a couple minutes left.
Okay, let's touch quick on how fish react to the cold weather. I feel like the biggest thing when the cold weather occurs is it's right at that front end of the cold weather is when the fish shut off. So you're trolling around, your life's good at 20 degrees. Then you just take the cold front, that hard dip down into, zero.
Yep.
It's that first initial dip and maybe a day after fishing's real tough.
Yep.
Maybe 2 days after. But after that, if you're still maintaining that cold weather, now if you shoot back up into the warm temps again, then it kind of makes them wonky again. But if after that, like we have experienced this week, is you just maintain that cold weather, then they start to settle back in.
Yep, get back in their pattern.
Fishing's back on. Yep. They might be a little set up a little differently. They might, pattern might be a little different, but they'll be biting again.
Yeah, the other thing too is the colder it gets, the less fishing pressure there is in general.
Yeah.
There's just the diehards.
Nobody wants to be out there.
Yep. Pretty funny post going around on Facebook about that.
Yeah, what was that?
All the guys, I'm sure glad it's cold out because all you guys aren't out here catching all these fish. You
got to finally get to my spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So there's something you said about that too. Everyone can get out when it's 35 degrees.
Yeah, it's easy.
When it's 0, that's when you just get the diehards in.
Yeah.
So
that's you want to know. I mean, I'm not going to go out to a lake that I don't know.
Yeah.
And expect to try to figure it out in 0 degrees. Yep. I'm going to go to a lake that I know, and I want to go to a spot where I think I can find them pretty quickly.
Yep, exactly. So hopefully we'll do that this weekend here.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Have a report about it.
Although I've never ice fished this lake, but I have open water.
Oh, man. It's going to be fine.
Well, I know where the trees and some submerged brush is, so I think we can shack up pretty easily.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Put this Mag Dog to work.
Yep, we got to try out the 40. Check out the action.
That thing is ridiculous.
It'll be fun. Awesome. Cool. All right, guys. Well, you catch us next time on
The Short Rod Show.